Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our weekly Wednesday training webinar. And today the subject is learning about our patented dust plus inclusion technologies and how to apply those when you go to the field or on the seed box and make it in a very practical manner to get that delivered to the seed. So we appreciate you taking a moment of your time here to learn with us today. I'm Michael Musselman, one of the principals and vice president of sales. We also have Brian Tolley on. He's principal owner of the company. Dan Johnson, Amanda Hill, John Buck are also on with us, and Tracy and Shane from our team. And we're here to support you and our customers as we go forward. So I'll dive right into the content today, and the see if I can get there we go. Just want to review a little bit of information. Some of the information I'll present has been presented in some of the previous conversations we've had, but want to bring this back up as there are some people who maybe haven't heard about us or watched any of our other webinars or trainings. So we know that farmers are looking for guidance and biological solutions to fit their cropping systems. And we've got a network of scientists and agronomists that's allowing and helping us bring these biological solutions as this space grows in ag. And we know that farmers are willing now and much more willing and looking for education, for training, and for understanding. And from our perspective as a company, we in a sense get disappointed if a farmer says, "Hey, I don't know why I'm doing what I'm doing." So, with the help of the people that are working with us, our dealers and resellers, and the efforts we do here, we're working and leading that education. And it was very nice. One of our dealers recently complimented us and said, "Hey, we're doing the best job he's got of any company in terms of bringing training." So we continue to want your input for things that you need information on. So one of the things we want to bring up is that we work and develop climate smart technologies and enhance soil and plant health and nutrient management efficiencies. And these are all important topics as we go forward in agriculture. Especially when we look at the changes in nutrient management, nutrient use, the soil health metrics. We're getting into more sustainability issues, and there's payments that are on the way for sustainability, and there's payments that are beyond what maybe that the FSA office offers there when you go into the government office. Industry is coming in and wanting to be a part of this also. So we're a leader in that concept. We're a leader in bringing agriculture biotechnologies to this space. Want to bring this slide up. This is a slide of I got this from going into one of our dealers in Iowa. They're a seed dealer, and their family has been for decades, as you can see. And what I found interesting was this concept of innovation. So if you can see that this farmer years and years and years ago, this would have been 1969, it says on the left side there. This person got 161.12 bushels per acre in the 1969 Master Corn Growers Contest. And that was given out at the El Dorado Chamber of Commerce, or sponsored by them. And then 7 years later, he was a champion club for 165.91 bushel per acre in 1976. So that was not quite a 5 bushel gain in 7 years that he worked for. Now, a couple things are interesting to me is that that's a 6 bushel gain over 7 years. And I think a lot of us are not happy with a 6 bushel gain at maybe in 1 or 2 years. But notice that most likely, and I didn't look at the current Iowa Masters Corn Grower Contest, but I'm assuming that to get into that category, you'd have to be somewhere north of 250 bushel per acre, right? Maybe 280 to be up in that area. So the reason I bring this up is it shows that there's incremental progress, and we are doing things that is probably gaining faster incremental progress in some cases, but also look that yield levels for these farmers have moved up 100 bushel in 50 years, right? Can we do that in another 50 years, right? That remains to be seen. But I want to say that there's progress, and maybe it doesn't always look like we're getting the progress that we want at times. But if we look at over a period of time, the things that we're doing are gaining, and those have to do with everything we do, right? So if it's what we do with the planter, what we do with putting on the planter, what we do with fertilizer, hybrids, and so on. So all these methods and metrics go together to produce these gains in yield. And that's what we're talking about today on how to gain additionality in yield for the farmer that we work with, or for you as the farmer listening to our training. So we always like to talk about that when we bring products to the table, we need to show an agronomic benefit, an economic benefit, and an operational benefit. And today I'm going to go over operational benefits of using a Dust Plus inclusion carrier technology, and why the industry is moving this way very rapidly to get into the planter box and make it easy. And we'll discuss a few of those as we go. Now, for those of us who work in the industry, many things are obvious to us, but I want you to keep in mind that maybe some things aren't necessarily obvious to your customers. So one of the things we've been doing and working with recently is training new dealers and distributors on the use of Dust Plus technologies and how it's simple and easy to work with them. And for us, like Brian and Dan and Andrew and Brad, who've been working with our product for years now, maybe sometimes we forget the obvious things. So I want to bring out some of the obvious things when it comes to application of our technologies and reaffirm them, because so here's the way I think of it. More people have yet to use our technology than have used it in the past. So we're on 7, 8, 9 million acres, whatever the number might be. Our Dust Plus inclusion carrier technologies, second year into this, are approaching, I think, nearly 1 million acres. Okay. And I think that'll double and triple, more than double or triple next year, and who knows where it goes from there. So we want to make sure that people are being trained and understand it. And so and we'll get into that in terms of coverage. I brought this up. This was at the Steam Power Show up in Northern Illinois. They had it out here on the fairground, or I should say the showgrounds. And Uncle Phil's Weather Rock says if the rock's wet, it's probably rainy. If the rock's moving, it's probably windy. If it has a shadow, it's sunny, and so forth. What we have to be careful of at times is thinking that the obvious is the obvious. So keep that in mind as you go and you talk to your customers. Many people are in different stages of their understandings. And one of the things that's obvious to us is the ease of use and the ability to deliver a microbial and deliver it safely. But in the past, there is this concern: what's the survivability? What if I mix it? What if I do this? What if I do that? So we're getting these questions as we go forward, and so we'll work in answering many of those today. So in terms of talking about different types of applications of our biologicals or seed treatments, there's the on-seed and seed-applied treatments, and there's planter box, which that's what I'm going to focus on today. Liquid in furrow, foliar applications, soil applications, and then obviously some of us are on the path of including multiple modes of action with our biologicals as we go forward. And so we may include multiple applications either on the seed, in the furrow, or we may say, let's spread out the use of these biologicals and biotechs in order to extend and hit a better time or a good time for application for what those particular materials. I'm going to start with the foundation, and maybe some of us forget about the foundation of our technology. But Dust introduced in 2018 with a soft commercial launch, full commercial launch in 19. And this product is a replacement for talc and graphite. It's renewable, it's healthier, it's cleaner, it's safer, it's soy, it's safer for the seed, it's safer for the farmer, and it does do the work of a seed lubricant and also lower static. So some people maybe don't understand that it's the dual action when we want to bring that up, because we get that question. And because it's amino acid base, it is gone from the soil in 28 days. In fact, because of the nature of amino acids, it becomes a food for the biology and not a barrier to the interaction and association of the seed with the soil and the rhizosphere, which is both a chemical and a biological association, right, as we get the seed going. So Dust is the foundation as a patented carrier, and we'll go through that. So we like to say that Dust is a patented biocomplex inclusion carrier technology, and it is more than just a seed lubricant as we move into the biological space. Now, when we introduced this, our simple message, because we knew down the line that Dust Plus technologies were on the way and that we could do this kind of activity, we took the route of do you hate talc and graphite? Do you want to move on from that? Would you like to have a cleaner, safer soy replacement that works as well as talc and graphite, but doesn't have those negative side effects? And it was rapidly adopted and on millions of acres. And we're in 30 states, going to Canada, Australia, and beyond. And we have 500 locations, I think, or so in this country that are working with us. And what we began to be asked about was, well, what else can you put in this? This is a great carrier. What else can be included in this? And so we set out on that pathway for accomplishing that. And so proper care and handling and dispersion on the seeds important as we look at these, and for proper coverage. And we want to talk through that as we go. One thing I wanted to throw up here on the screen is looking at what's in the soy protein. Look at all these amino acids. If you go down through, and you can do a little bit of your own research to see what these types of materials do. But look at abiotic stress, ethylene synthesis, oxidant precursor, chlorophyll precursor, all right, cold weather resistance. These are all interesting things that what a particular amino acid can help the soy plant or the corn plant or other plants use those for. And that's why when you look at our technology, we help in more ways than just what talc and graphite do. Something else I wanted to bring up is that a paper was published in 2021 that showed that seed microorganisms can override soil microorganisms when colonizing plants. So this is a paper you can look up online, or if you want, I could send it to you. And it says researchers find microorganisms from seed or delivered on the seed have more staying power than microorganisms from the soil. And this white paper simply lays out the fact that when we apply materials in furrow, and especially on the seed, because they're delivered and they're associated in the seed in the rhizosphere, that they can and will generally have the ability or staying power to colonize and stay in that pool or that population of microorganisms that are touching the plant or coming into the plant or being available to the plant. And I think this is important because there is, to a certain degree, there is evidence at times when you apply microorganisms that the native population can override them or will eat them or use them for a food source, and which can be either positive, or you can look at it as a positive way. It becomes a food source rather than just giving a micronutrient or something. In that case, you could give them a microorganism that actually can grow and become a food source for someone else. So that can be positive. What I found interesting is that placing materials to the seed in the soil, this white paper discusses that's an effective way of getting some activity in the soil and in the plant. So just want to throw up here the top replacement study from Minnesota, 2021, Beck's Practical Farm Research, and we were in for a second year, and we'll get in the third year, and I assume we'll be hopefully PFR proven by the end of next year. But if you bring your attention there to the 1 ounce of dust put on, dust alone worked very well, worked better than the check, and in essence was able to out yield and outperform C plus graphite, PMZ dry, and Grow Pack, which are other products that are out there on the market that you may know about and be using, or your customers. In terms of what they've been testing. And so wanted to just bring that up. That's on corn. Here's a multi-location study. And for the soybean side, so Minnesota, Kentucky, Southern Illinois, this one just shows that, for instance, use dust on your soybeans and you could get 0.1 difference in bushels, which is $1.13. This product itself, dust, is 10 to 30 or 40 cents an acre to use. And we have some yield data here that we like to show that if it gets into a discussion potentially about price, we've got basic evidence, and there's farmers that have done some of this testing also that'll tell us anecdotally that they see a difference, right? And so, John's on with us, and he had an issue with some emergence this year, spring, where he split the planter, used dust, didn't. Much higher population, had to replant some where he didn't use dust, and the seed came up where he used dust in good population. So our goal here is just to say the use of dust is helpful beyond, and you can look at the university studies in our brochure. The use of dust is helpful beyond as a seed lubricant. It makes a great base to put these dust plus inclusion microbials or micronutrient technologies in our technology, because we give you a potential out the gate, even before you add the microbes, that there's a positive response to the use of a material. And simply put, if you're not using dust in the planter, you're likely losing money for not using that. And that's a case that can be made with this data. The other thing we like to show is that that using dust as a carrier, that we can get very high CFU counts on the seed. And because the question becomes with a new person learning about us or a new company that wants to work with us is, so how do you get enough CFU count on the seed? So this is a slide that we throw in from the research that was done with Ag Ingenuity Partners with TerraSim, which we've had last year and this year in commercial production. So what this test has shown, that when we went out, we did the treatment on the Dust Plus product, put it on the seed, went to the planters, and as you can see here, on the seed samples were taken during planting, and they were taken out of the bottom of the seed tube, right, to simulate going through the planter. And this was actually on farmers doing this out in the field in many different locations. So 20% of the way, 50% and 80% through the way planted, and you can see the CFU count per seed, that range. So very adequate range. And the other important thing is, as compared to the liquid seed treatment that Terrasym had offered and does offer, the dry treatment as a planter box had 54 times the live ppfms on the corn seed. Now on the soybeans, it was, I think, about 6x. And I think some of that has to do with a round seed versus a corn seed has more places, that the seed can attach to in terms of the shape and the way it moves. But nevertheless, both had higher counts with a dry application than what we've seen on a liquid application. So this is evidence, and we see it from checking the technology as we go. I want to throw this up here to you, in that this is the packaging that we have for that Dust Plus technology, which is the Terrasym Plus Dust product. And it's very easy to use. We have a little scoop if you need to, but on the corn side, on the right, that will treat 50 units of corn, kind of matches up with the black box. On the left there, that bag is sized to treat 40 units of corn, or excuse me, soybeans, meets the size of what a lot of companies put in the black box. So you can shake it on the top, and we'll talk about how that goes a little further in the presentation. So thinking of this way to deliver, very easy to use as we go forward. The other technology that's going to be that's newly introduced here for us is B4 is a product that many of you have used, will use, and in the seed treatment side as well as an in-furrow. B4 is a blend of amylolycophations like Informis, Pumilus, and Ladder spirosis. So these are well-known, widely used, high-quality spore formers that do a great job of root growth in the I should say, colonizing the roots and creating a biofilm and growing as the roots grow into the soil, and then helping bring nutrients such as phosphorus and micronutrients available to the plant. So a lot of people maybe aren't going to overtreat corn, and so we wanted to target and bring this technology out so people who are not overtreating corn could go ahead and treat their corn with a dry box rather than having to wet the seed down, run it through a seed treater, and so forth. And it helps from if you want to say in essence, the concern about potential the movement of the seed, safety, or re-wetting, the treatment that's already on the seed, and those kinds of things. So it gives very easy and quick access to this kind of basic technology here. So we've done the work. If you look at the bottom of the screen here, we have our little logo called Tech Check. We did the work in spray drying this material together, ran the tests over months and months to see about maintaining the counts. And so the technology has gone through our system and is checked out as a viable technology to introduce here for this year. So this is in essence our second introduction into this space, and we look for great adoption of it very quickly. So let's talk a little bit about, as we move into how are we going to put these materials on. So you have this dust technology, this seed lubricant that has the ability to do dual function in the planter box. And with kind of the research that's been done here and the data that I've shown you, it's a viable alternative to needing to use liquid seed treatment. And it's a viable alternative if you don't have a liquid in furrow on your planter, or if you may not spray your own crop and can't apply a microbial later on. So we focus on three main ways to apply. One of the things I want to bring up front is you can apply this material at the planter box when you're thinking about that you're doing an application that is inoculating the seed rather than it's just a seed lubricity, or hey, I'm throwing talcum graphite on there so that somehow the seed moves. We need to make a good sure we're doing a good job of stirring in. And that's maybe an individual judgment in a sense of what you're doing as you stand there. But we've got to get coverage by putting some material in the bag, putting it into the planter, stirring, with a gloved hand, or maybe with a hammer handle or some method to get that inoculation and going. So that is a viable way of doing it. For those of you that run materials through seed tender seed treaters, we really like as an option the CT applicator. That's a changing times applicator. It's stainless steel applicator. Put that applicator on, run the material into the seed pool as the seed comes out, and you'll get adequate stirring as it goes up your auger into the planter. When we look at box-to-box treatment, this is one that I think is real critical for people to understand. And I was just recently working with a new distributor for us, and they're just going through the basic questions of how can we know and how do we do this to make it easy, make it simple, do it ahead of time, and that even the seed dealer can get this done and for the farmer ahead of time. And we have many people doing that kind of a situation. So the box-to-box treatment is an important piece, I think, to make this happen. I just want to show this to you as an example to make it practical. If you look on the right side, you can see that these soybean seeds have many white specks of particles. That's dust, the dust product on there. And this count that we've got on this seed, very well dispersed, was accomplished simply by taking the load-unload auger on a J&M seed tender, swinging it out, taking one black box, emptying it into the auger by hand, saying, I've got this package, I know all this needs to get in that box, sprinkling it on as the seed passes up that auger. It's probably a 15-16 foot auger, and putting the material into the next black box, as you can see on the left side. And Scott Brocklesby used this technique as for example, here in Central Illinois, down at Taylorville, got all his seed treated the way he wanted it ahead of time, and went to the field and had no problems with seed flow. Very happy and satisfied, and is using this product on probably nearly, I didn't look at the exact acres, but I think he's putting it on most all of his acres. And he was able to see multiple bushel advantage, and with his Terracin plus dust product, and sent us data, I think, on corn with around a 7 bushel advantage. And we're talking yield levels in Central Illinois with, planter nitrogen, liquid in furrows, right? This is high management. With this technology, seeing another 7 bushel gain on top of that. So this technology works and is easily applied and dispersed. So I bring this one up, and this could be the farmer doing it, or the seed dealer, or the retailer. Some people do the seed treater, and they're wanting to know, can they put the material in the drum? So we want you to know that dust is not a drying agent like slip shine is, or the other dry shiny powders that are used. And so we prefer you to get the seed dry, and then after the seed comes out of the drum, get the material put on. And there's many places after the seed treating that you can get this done, right? So you could put a CT applicator on the auger that goes into the black box. Some people have the extra bin where they hold the seed for 5 or 10 minutes to dry it, and then put the material into a box. You could set up a situation there where you could apply as the seed goes into the box, or another auger, and move it one more time in a sense. So we prefer it to be done after the seed has a chance to dry. If you put it in too early, you can get some flaking off, right? And we obviously don't want that to happen. The other situation is this box to box, and very simply, from an explanation standpoint, here's what you don't do when applying the Dust Plus technologies. You don't open a box and dump something on the top of the box and shut the lid and go on. You have to think about, and you want to think about, the opportunity to shake across the whole top of the box, maybe rake it in with a simple rake, and that gets it beginning to be dispersed. Then you can do a box-to-box treater or auger-to-tinder type of treating setup, where basically once you have the seed treated at the top of the box, you're going to allow the movement of the seed out of the box into a seed pool with an auger, or into another box, in terms of the movement, to create that rolling effect and dispersing and touching the other seeds to get this material moved. So we have some people who will move the seed from the black box into the seed tender with an auger, and that simple movement does a great job. You can also take the box and set it over top of, because some people don't auger into the seed tenders, they put it over the top, and as it drains into the seed tender, it mixes. So think of all these movements, you add it up through the tender, through the seed pool, through the augers, into the planter. You're getting 4, 5, and 6 mixings of this material. And remember, we have 120 to 180 days life on seed treatment, so you can do this ahead of time with these materials, and get it done for your customers or yourself. Now, a couple of cautions would be for those farmers who have a tender where you just sit the box on the tender, and you didn't pass it through the wagon type or the bulk tender. What we prefer you do is do that second boxing method ahead of setting it up on the straight box seed tender. And simply think of it this way: you're going to drive that seed tender down the road in different places. If you've only dispersed it a little bit at the top, we can get it where some of that can run to the middle a little too quick, and you might send some out a little too quickly versus getting that extra mixing. So that's a caution there. The other caution that I want to bring up is there are some farmers who take their loader, and they will take a black box and go over top of the CCS box on the planter, and basically take a black box and disperse it straight into the CCS box. In that particular case, what we would prefer, because you can control the flow of that seed in, that's an instance where how you're letting that seed flow is we would prefer that you stand up on the planter at the box and pull that seed box open and disperse by hand the material to get better coverage, rather than it just being applied on top of the box and running through once. So I just want to call those a couple situations out specifically, and obviously happy to talk with you or your customer about that as we go forward. But it's very easy to do, and we've got lots of acres being done in that box-to-box treatment that makes it simple for you. The other way of looking at application is the CT applicator. Many of you are familiar with it. It's very good at dosing the material. Install those either on your auger that's loading the seed tender, on the seed tender somewhere in the process. And there are some people that we know and have that are doing, they'll maybe have 2 of these on one auger, so that they put different materials in. So someone doesn't want the dust plus inclusion, they just want dust, or they may be using another product, where they can just say, okay, this seed's going out to a farmer, this is what they want, so they turn on the right CT applicator and deliver that material. So we can put you in contact with Changing Times and Tracy and the good folks over there, and show you those things that you can look at doing to get this dispersed very well. So kind of in conclusion here, I just want to bring up a full line of products that we have that are helpful on the farm besides these dust plus inclusions. And knowing that we're going into the spring here, farmers are looking for these different solutions. We want to remind you that there's high quality products, excellent agronomic support, not just from us, but from people like Andrew and Brad and John and Amanda and our team out there that are here to help and bring this information and this technical expertise to you. And I want you to know that we're willing to get on these kinds of calls with your farmers that you work with, or you as a farmer, if you're watching and want to talk. We'll be happy to schedule some time with you. And so, with that, I'll open the stage up here, in a sense, for someone who may want to ask questions about what we talked about today.
Hey, thanks, Michael. It was really, when we started this back in 2011, looking for a replacement for talc and graphite, we actually thought it would be a micronutrient that we'd be working with first, because the biological space was kind of in its infancy, trying to grow in some areas. And so to be able to bring the pink methylotrope of the Terrasym to market, and by being able to introduce that into a planter box space, irregardless of what some of the other companies are saying in the world, we introduced that into the planter box space and have been able to see a positive return for folks that are growing it and using that. Michael presented the PFR, Beck's PFR studies on the way dust is doing. And this year, Terrasym got PFR proven. And so you've got a product that we can put into our dust that you see that we are on the path as well. We've actually been in their testing system for about 4 years, but there was a couple of years before we got into the PFR trials, and we're seeing a positive result all the way through those. Besides the fact that it's cleaner, safer, and it's soy, you've got the ability to talk about using a product that has no negative impact on the environment. In other words, we don't remove the seed treatment from the seed based on the way that we have developed these products. And the other nice thing about us, that Michael showed you that list of the amino acids that are included in our dust product as well, that it gives a positive benefit to the early plant stages and early plant growth without interfering with your other seed enhancements products you put on there, whether they be liquid or dries. Even if you do something, if you put the Terrasym plus dust product on your corn or your soy, and you come back and do a foliar application or an in-furrow application or a side dress, whatever it may be, the Terrasym product allows that plant to metabolize those inputs better. And so you see a faster response and a season-long response as well. And so that's what we like about that, bringing that product out. And the B4 product coming out was just kind of a no-brainer for us. That B4 product from Dakota Bio has proven over the last several years to be a consistent, proven product that works in all the situations that we get to work with it. And by being able to bring it into the dust particle and having over a year's worth of studies on longevity of keeping the product and the biology active, it hits our 1-year shelf life study, that we want to make sure we can use it that way and see the benefits of it, being able to give you the P and K solubilizing. That's easy for me to say. And so we want you to be able to see that benefit as well. And once again, we know that you're going to see more and more of these products coming out in the dust inclusion category, because there's fewer and fewer planters getting sold with liquid units on them. And so we want to give you an alternative to deliver some of these early plant growth enhancement products in a very much more efficient and economical way to do that.
Brian, thanks for those comments. Dan, John, Amanda, Brad, Andrew, anyone want to hop on and make any comments about your use of our product or how you've seen it working in the TerraSim or the dust? Yeah, the proper application is very important for us, and it's the concept of preparing ahead of time, right? And training up front that way that the farmer doesn't have to think about it when they go to the planter. And we've had different seed dealers and farmers liking this concept of pre-treating. You know, when we talk to seed dealers, this is an interesting common subject. I think every seed dealer's customer wants him to apply the talc and graphite to their seed, but most seed dealers don't want to touch that. Why? Because they don't want to mess with it. They don't want to breathe it. And they're concerned, they'll even talk about it gets all over the floor in the shop, in their warehouse, and it becomes even a hazard for them for walking around. And so many have stayed away from applying a seed lubricant for their customers. But when they learn about this, they've begun to think about going ahead and doing this. The other motivation for them also is that there's an extra value that's now being able to be provided. And I think, and that one of the concepts that I missed early on here in terms of this dry inclusions was, in terms of bringing it up again, is the idea that if you're already putting 4, 5, 6, 7 ounces, depending on how much you're putting on for seed treatments, the seed treater process, people don't want to add more to that in terms of more liquid for wet seed. And so instead of going to them and saying that, well, you've got to add another 1, 2, or 3 ounces to get this accomplished, we can just go ahead and add another treatment in a sense and not have to add more liquid. So that's catching a lot of attention from the marketplace also. And the other thing is potential safety. Yeah, Dan?
Yeah. Hey, I was just going to jump into, as we share this story and promote this product, the three things that keep coming back from producers and dealers in my conversations is, one, the simplicity of it. There's probably not a simpler system, a process to get, technology, biological in with our lubricity. The data obviously coming back extremely positive from yield response and driving revenue for the grower, and then just that price point at $6 an acre retail. Those are the three things that just keep, from last year's business and then going into this year, those three keep coming to the top. And then just talking about, our safety as you're getting into there, the safety of our product and how much safer together we are with the biological versus some other options in the dry box, right? So I would just say those are the three things that make this story a great solution to growers.
Yes, Dan, thank you for that. It's we know that there's a lot of acceptance because we see our sales grow from last year to this year, and we see how people are finding out the practical solution here helps them in their processes. And the planter box area is an easy way to go to the farmer and say, yes, you can participate, you can do this, and you don't have to do a lot of extra things to go ahead and use this technology. You don't have to buy a seed treater, right? You can use this technology and get to it right away.